We're around. We are live and doing this again. Little bit of Instagram, little bit of every other platform here. So I'll kind of give you the situation. Yesterday, a prospect had asked me a question, and I said, "Listen, I did a little bit of research. I want to hire virtual assistant, marketing support, sales support offshore in Bangladesh, but don't I need to have my own entity? Don't I need my own office?" And so I wanted to be able to answer this question for you. You're not as a leader, as a founder, what you're doing is creating contractor agreements. That's step number one. And I'm going to actually, there's templates for you that I'm going to give you. I'm going to show you. You're creating a contractor agreement. And within that contractor agreement, you get to set the rules to the road. So the rules to the road might be the frequency of payment, how you're paying, the payment methods, hours of operations. Our hours of operations, meaning are you working our North American hours versus are you working your local hours or what's known as hybriding? Then there is, are you working a pay by hour? Are you working a fixed fee? I'm a big fan of fixed fee, by the way. I'm a believer of this concept called the cupboard theory, and I'll kind of back out of this. The cupboard theory states that I want you to picture you're moving a house and you had 4 cupboards in your existing house. You were fortunate enough to grow your family or grow your income, and you've got a bigger house and it has 8 cupboards. And you pack up your pots and pans and you put them in the cupboard. And for whatever reason, the same pots and pans fill up the 8 cupboards as they did the 4. It's because you just added a little bit of spacing. And the same concept goes when you pay people by the hour. You've probably noticed it with construction workers out on the roads. They end up working twice as long because they're being paid by the hour. Show me the compensation, I'll show you the behavior. So that's a bit of a divergent. Long to short, with a contractor agreement, your teammate offshore is not an employee. You can buy third-party benefits for your teammate and this is typically what we do, typically after month 3 or month 6, you can go to third-party benefit platforms. You can also use payment gateway platforms like Deal. Deal actually integrates things like health medical benefits inside the payment processing for one of your teammates. But the most important piece to this whole conversation, and this is what I was mentioning to the founder, is that your offshore teammates, specifically where we focus in on Bangladesh has created a gig economy for the future. And what they're doing is if you are a contractor living in Bangladesh and you are repatriating dollars from Canada to the United States as a contractor, the tax rate to you is 0. So the benefit, this is such a win-win benefit. Us here in North America, we get to have contracted experience and work environments that gives us the ultimate flexibility. We don't have long-term deferred liabilities, which is the death of so many businesses. So you have a contractor that gives you and again, you set the rules to the road to your employment agreement. Is it a 2 weeks notice, 1 month's notice, what have you? But you do not have these protracted employment severances. You now have an out. You do not have long-term liabilities. So that's part A. Part B is the recipient, your talent. When you say you're paying $350 a month or $500 a month or $1,000 a month, they're getting that in their own bank accounts. This is massive for your offshore talent because what they're able to do now is leverage all of that money for their own family. So it's such a win-win. Now, I'm going to share my screen. Give me a second. Let me share my screen. I want to show you a resource. And okay, so you should see website, and I'll show you where to get to it. And I'll kind of do this with Instagram. So you go to the homepage, Get Leverage, and you go over to free resources. And I want you to drop down specifically to contractor agreement. Okay, so we'll click on that. With contractor agreement, we have a downloadable asset that you can use to be able to use as a template for contracting. It has everything. This has been used up, down, and sideways for years and years, offshoring. It calls out how you're paying, when pay is due. It also protects you as the founder for an IP release. So anyone that touches your IP, you as the company own it. So that's really important when you go into the future for mergers and acquisitions. So actually, as you see this template for you, it's all ready to go. The terms of the agreement, the fee structure, how you're paying, termination information, non-disclosure information. It's an independent contractor agreement. It also calls out the roles and responsibilities, how people are being paid, and as well IP ownership provisions and supplier agreement. So this is a template for you. You can absolutely use your own agreement. There's nothing precluding you from doing that, but go to this free template. This is really going to be able to help you out, be able to leverage that contractor agreement to be able to help. And so I want to be able to kind of summarize for my founders. Number one is this is not full-time employment. This is contracting. That gets such a win-win for both parties. You as the founder, you no longer have deferred liabilities and severances and benefits. And that's part one. Part two, the talent on the other side is paying zero tax. So when you send $1,000, they get $1,000. It is a win-win situation. This is why contracting, offshoring is so valuable and such a win-win for both parties. And if you set up your contracting agreement correctly, which I've given you that contracting agreement, that makes all the difference in the world as you are. Let me just make sure I'm stop sharing my screen. Gives you all the opportunities in the world to be able to leverage that template for your offshoring agreement. So with that, I want to say thank you to everybody. I just stopped sharing my screen. Feel free to put anything in the comments. I don't see any comments yet, but I am here to help offshoring best practices. So this is Jamie Shanks, Get Leverage. If you were do so and you want to, I have a QR code up in the top corner. I have a new book, Offshore to Profits. And this is a section called Infrastructure to Success, which is really important. In fact, actually, I want to share my screen one more time. If you go to our YouTube channel, let me kind of share my screen here. If you go to our YouTube channel, there is an episode that I just recently watched. I shared it with the founder. I think it's this episode, Offshore Payment Process. So we're going to Get Leverage. We have all kinds of videos on offshoring best practices, but offshore payment processing will help you understand this relationship when I talk about that zero tax rule, and really valuable for us founders. So with that, I'm going to sign out and hope you're doing well. You take care.